I tested one real YouTube voiceover in Resemble AI. The first render passed. It cost exactly 4.698 cents. It took about 98 seconds to become downloadable, and it entered CapCut without repair. But this was one clean block, not proof every script or voice will work on the first try. The controlled test used Resemble Ultra, my approved creator radar voice, a 48 kHz download, and one English script containing 222 words. I did not time an equivalent manual recording, compare every available voice, or test every language, so I cannot honestly say it was faster than recording by hand. This also was not my first encounter with the tool. Across the previous two videos, I had already produced 12 voiceover blocks containing 13,277 characters and just under 15 minutes of narration. This follow-up was designed to isolate one question: could the configured workflow produce a clean, editor-ready result without a paid retry? Before generating anything, I locked the variables I could control: the script, the approved voice and model, and the 48 kHz output. The plan was one generation, one uninterrupted listen, and a retry only if a real defect made the audio unusable. Resemble displayed 1,419 characters against a 2,000 character limit. The local file contained 1,428. That 9-character difference was not a mystery, and it was not evidence that punctuation had been removed. The file contained 9 line breaks. Remove those non-spoken layout characters and the counts match exactly. That correction matters. Blaming the wrong characters could make me split future scripts unnecessarily, creating more files and more chances for seams or repeated narration. Preflight is where avoidable paid mistakes disappear and cost planning becomes more predictable. With the setup locked, I started the screen recording and clicked Generate. The interface showed about 4.1 seconds of initial latency before the generation state became visible. The finished audio lasted 93.96 seconds. Click to downloadable result took approximately 98.2 seconds. The system therefore produced the narration at about 1.05 times real time. A minute and a half of finished voice took a little more than a minute and a half to become ready. That is useful for scheduling, but it does not prove an advantage over a human narrator. I did not record and edit the same passage manually, so that comparison remains open. The narrower finding is that waiting did not become a production bottleneck. There was no failed job, stalled download, or second render. The file appeared, and the first attempt moved directly into quality review. I listened to the entire file once without editing it. Names and technical terms were understandable. The numbers were accurate. The pacing stayed consistent, and the sentences ended cleanly. I heard no missing words, clicks, truncation, or artifacts. The audio was publishable, so a preference-only paid retry was not justified. The account balance provides a second audit trail. The interface displayed 5 cents, but the exact change was 4.698 cents. Both figures are truthful at different levels of precision. One is a rounded receipt, and one is the exact deduction. For 93.96 seconds of audio, that worked out to roughly 3 cents per finished minute. That is an account-specific observation from this test, not a universal pricing promise. The defensible claim is simply that this accepted first render cost less than 5 cents and required 0 paid retries. The next check was whether the accepted wave created cleanup work in CapCut. It imported directly as a 48 kHz mono file. I left the timeline volume at 0 decibels, with normalization, voice enhancement, noise reduction, and fades turned off. No conversion, repair, or word-level reconstruction was needed. That result is genuinely valuable, but it does not make the workflow automatic. The tool generated the voice. A person still had to lock the script, split it below the platform limit, check names and technical terms, verify the output settings, listen to every sentence, decide whether the render was acceptable, and place the file against the visuals. The fastest part of this test was the voice generation. The most important part was the judgment around it. A one-click demo can hide that human work, especially when the first render sounds good. In production, those checks are what prevent a cheap, fast mistake from reaching the final upload. So where should Resemble fit in this workflow? For Creator Radar, it works well as a narration production engine, a consistent approved voice, low measured cost, and an editor-ready wave on this attempt. I would still verify unfamiliar names, brands, technical terms, different languages, long multi-block scripts, and anything recorded with a new voice or setting. The controlled test supports one confident verdict: the voice passed. The workflow still requires human judgment. Resemble removed the need to record this block myself, but it did not remove scripting, pronunciation decisions, listening, evidence review, editing, or final approval. That is not a failure, it is the correct role for the tool, and it connects directly to the previous Creator Radar investigation. NotebookLM was excellent at organizing transcripts, but it missed watch page evidence and still needed manual verification. Resemble shows the same broader pattern from a different angle. AI can accelerate one part of production without becoming the finished researcher, editor, or publisher. If you want to see that research test, use the video linked on screen. Test the tool, verify the workflow,